Good afternoon. Welcome to BizConnect with eGuardian. Bit of an introduction about eGuardian. We are a value-added distributor plus a technology enabler. We are into main three verticals, which are cybersecurity, data center and networking, and digital transformation. Today we will be discussing on zero trust adaptation with ColorToken, which falls under data center stack. The panel will be Nilanka Costa, who is Senior Consultant Data Center Solution, and Udit Imanta, who is Associate Engineer Data Center Solution. Moving into our panel discussion, so the first question will be to Udit. So Udit, today our topic is zero trust adaptation. Zero trust is a general term that we can use and also that we hear within the industry. But it's a broader subject that we could discuss for hours, where it will cover different aspects of security. Will you be able to explain, elaborate, or give a proper definition for zero trust?
Hi, thanks, Shapni. So things have come a long way since the term was first coined at the beginning. In the essence, zero trust means that you only allow things that you trust. We look at zero trust in three things. So the first one is applications and the data, which are critical, and there is trust to be enforced in terms of what interactions you allow into that application to have, or what is allowed to interact with it. And you want to make sure that you only allow trusted interactions to happen. But that is not enough. When you look at ransomware and things that can move laterally within the subnet, we should also think about trusted processes. What can run on what VM or that server. And the third comes down as the user identity, which is a very critical part. We build on that to say what are the users that can access and what access privileges do they have. So we look into zero trust broadly as those three elements together, and in reality the challenge for many organizations in one hand is if a particular data leaks and it has employee data or company data, and that damage would be very broad, and in ransomware affected scenarios we can see the whole ecosystem being affected. So in one hand, that is how you balance the risk that is posed with the leakage of data, and the other part is how you do it without disrupting the business velocity, because at the end of the day a completely airtight system will give you all the security you need, but you will not have the business velocity that you are wishing for. And on the other side, if you have a environment which allows everything to connect to everything, you would have all the business velocity that you require, but it will pose a bunch of security risks. So because of this, we help to provide a platform that helps people to get that right trade-off. So in the original paper for zero trust, there were three core principles. So the first core principle was don't trust anything just by the fact where it is coming from in the network. So all networks are untrust. So that was revolutionary talk at that time, because 15-20 years ago everything in the inside the network was trusted. And the second core principle is least privilege access must be enforced, and that too may sound like a networking thing, but actually when it is done properly, it applies to people and roles and any kind of action where authorizing is needed. So the last core principle is that you should be sure that you have machinery in place to be able to detect and monitor everything. So these are the three core principles, and they are still true today. So no matter what you are doing in the zero trust paradigm, these core principles are still the same. And while the initial papers were very network centric, and the reason for that was because the networker was the problem back then. So there was no security anywhere, but zero trust has been evolved in the following way to encompass an entire ecosystem. So the way we talk about zero trust today is we divide it into different domains, and at the center of these domains is data, because this is the thing you are actually trying to protect. So it is at the center of everything, and so you need to have security controls around the data, but you also need to have the security controls around the four things that interact with data. They are people, devices, networks, and workloads. So think of those 5 domains as these are where I need to be getting visibility and analytics. So then lastly, we think that you need to have orchestration and automation, because if you are not automating your defenses, you will not be able to keep up with the attackers who automates everything. And I have covered some of the different technologies of zero trust here. So one of them is zero trust network access, and that technology is about connecting people to workloads in a zero trust fashion. And zero trust network access is a TNA. It enforces granular, adaptive, and context-aware policies. So you can provide secure and seamless access to private applications hosted around multiple clouds and multiple data centers from any remote location and device. And that context may be a combination of user identity, user or service location, time of the day, type of service, and security posture of the device. So another technology you might see out there is called the Secure Service Edge, which is also known as the Zero Trust Edge, and that's about connecting people, workloads, and networks all together. So this basically means that Zero Trust is a data-centric approach to security, which involves identifying the data assets that need protection and creating a data classification policy. So with this information, a least privilege access methodology can be created. So at a technical level, we need a single source of user identity with multi-factor authentication and device authentication and authorization policies for access to application and access controls within that application. So moreover, we need to develop context. So this is about having insights into device health, policy compliance, location, and both user and device behavior. And then the last one I have is microsegmentation. So we will be talking about microsegmentation in our next few slides by Nilanka. So it is the market technology for zero trust. So security teams can isolate workloads in a network in order to limit the effect of malicious lateral movement. So micro segmentation solutions can be agent-based, network-based, or in native cloud.
Thank you, Udit. So we understand on zero trust, it is based on 3 core principles according to Forrester. But I see modern organizations struggle to adapt to this zero trust into their organization, and many of them struggle with multiple platforms to achieve different aspects of principles. What are the main challenges that modern organizations face in this zero trust journey?
So Shafni, there are 3 things that rose to the top of terms where customers are struggling with zero trust. So one is the complexity. So any decent size of enterprise, the complexity is mind-boggling. So if you have thousands of assets, you have millions of interactions between those assets, and you have literally trillions of transactions. So if you think 10,000 servers communicating with another 10,000 servers who visit 10,000 internet sites, So effectively, you have a hugely complex problem with point solutions for different elements for it. Then you have people listed that their environment changes frequently. So I mean that they are either going to the cloud or they are doing upgrades, and maybe they are adding a new applications, maybe they are adding a new machine. So nobody works in a static environment. So part of the thought was that technical complexities, the scale and the work in the change needs to be encompassed in a single solution. So the second piece is the people are in a brownfield environments, not in greenfield environments. So a lot of people are migrating to the cloud from their traditional data center. So that brings a different nuance on security and which needs to be done to protect it. So and a lot of people have legacy systems still. So if you talk about manufacturing companies that have factories and smaller places, so there are systems that they have not been upgraded, so and not been patched. So what the attacker needs to do is single entry attacker needs to do is to identify a single entry point. So people are worried about how can I cover the whole spectrum of my infrastructure all the way from cloud to the legacy, and how can you provide me the protection in all this infrastructure. So the last thing they are struggling with is that they believe there is no ROI and there is conflicting security projects, and they are struggling with what you should do first. So in the present, chief experience officers rely on a large number of security technologies to keep their organizations safe. So security tools today take one of two approaches. The first approach is preventing from known attacks. So it is done by antiviruses, firewalls. So the challenges for this approach are they cannot stop good processes which has bad behavior, and the inability to stop zero-day attacks, and the inability to stop insider attacks. So it results in undiscovered attacks. So the second approach is detect and respond. So EDRs and SIEMs. So the challenges for this approach are they have a very high alert volume, and they need large teams to monitor these tools, and they need frequent machine learning to make themselves updated and to be effective. So the result of this second approach is overlooking attacks. So let me add why security continues to fail into my answer. So whenever a significant cyber attack happens, several issues relating to vulnerabilities, technology, and processes are back on the discussion for those who are responsible for cybersecurity. So in most of the data breaches and attacks, the bad actors were moving laterally. So there should be a mechanism in order to stop the lateral spread, and you cannot secure what you cannot see. So you should have the full visibility inside your infrastructure, and the attacker is already inside the data center through compromised endpoints, exploiting vulnerable ports on critical hosts, and moving laterally east-west without getting detected. And the attack surface expansion due to the rapid scaling architectures and the lack of environment application segmentation, and third-party risks such as fileless malwares, zero-day exploits, USBs, web applications, and Trojan horses. So these are some of the reasons why security continues to fail. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Udit. Now, this question is to you, Nilanka. So, as eGuardian, we help organization. We help our customers to achieve zero trust objectives with our product, which is Color Token. Nilanka, can you explain how Color Token could help organization to adopt this zero trust, and what is the role that Color Token can play to organizations that already invest in their security infrastructure?
Shafni, before answering your question, I would like to give a brief introduction about ColorToken. ColorToken is a leading innovation in software as a service based zero trust cybersecurity solution, providing enterprises with a unique set of products and services for securing workloads, applications, data, and users across cloud and hybrid environments. ColorToken helps businesses accurately assess and improve their security posture dynamically. ColorToken extends zero trust platform include 5 different products. As you can see, XShield, XProtect, XCloud will provide the security for application hosted in public cloud as well as hosted in on-premise. And for remote users, it will provide the access, how they access, how they provide the security, how they securely access application reside within public cloud and data center. That will be taken care by ColorToken X Access. X Assure is a zero trust as a service product where we can have fully managed zero trust as a service. So those 5 products as a whole will provide organization to adopt zero trust concepts. So we will discuss these products individually in now coming discussions. And moving on, ColorToken give many advantages to organization. So in terms of risk containment, cloud workload protection, protection against legacy system, third party risk identification, compliances. In many ways, ColorToken will help organization to achieve different advantages. When considering about data breaches, ColorToken extends zero trust security platform allow IT companies to deploy granular microsegmentation to isolate and protect sensitive or critical workloads. In the event of breach, microsegmentation serves to limit the possible lateral exploration of networks by bad actors. Compliances. When we think about compliances, ColorToken will provide many advantages. The ITS sector deals with clients from many different countries, right, with their own, sometimes very stringent data privacy policies like GDPR in the European Union, CIPNI or HIPAA in the USA. The ColorToken platform can provide IT companies with detailed reports and documents through its dashboard to support audits and meet compliances requirements. So you can see Shafni, that ColorToken provide many advantages in terms of adopting zero trust security. So now we will discuss how the solution architecture will work in the ColorToken product. So as I explained, ColorToken is a software as a service based platform. So the management platform will be hosted in cloud, and then we have our different server instances on premise or hosted within public cloud. There's a lightweight agent that we can deploy on each of these servers. So those agents will be lightweight, and there are many versions available for different OS systems like Linux, Windows, Mac OSs. So actually it will consume less than 1% of your CPU. So that is a very cool advantage, where nowadays we have agents where it will consume about 3% of your CPU and consume a lot of memory from your endpoint device or the server. So that will consume the CPU and memory allocated for your application to run, right? This is the advantage of one of the advantage of ColorToken, where it has lightweight agent, and these lightweight agents, once it is deployed according to the subscription that the particular organization is having, then it will communicate with the ColorToken SaaS-based management platform to send the management data that is required to visualize and implement the policies within the ColorToken architecture. Apart from that, we can integrate whatever the into IDP, SIEM vulnerability scanners reside within the organization into the ColorToken platform, where it can coordinate to give a comprehensive reporting and the features. And apart from connecting these SaaS-based ColorToken SaaS-based management platform has threat intelligence and vulnerability database to detect any vulnerability, especially when providing the endpoint security, which I will talk about in our discussion. It will give the additional advantage of having vulnerability database and threat intelligence. Moving on, now we will talk about legacy segmentation techniques that currently organizations are using. Mostly organizations use network-based segmentation like VLANs, virtual networks. Sometimes they tend to define ACLs in routers, in hypervisor platforms, in cloud environments. So that would be a very cumbersome process where you have to manually enter all these details or create VLANs. Suppose if you have different infrastructure devices, network devices, then you need to log into a different level of interfaces to define those VLANs and IP subnets and all. And especially when creating ACL, it has a very complicated process where you need to identify the movement of traffic and identify different subnets. So one disadvantage of having network-based segmentation is it is very difficult to implement, and you have multiple points to consider, and you can see if one system get infected, the other system getting infected is very high in a network-based segmentation, where you can see in the blue color VLAN the particular ransomware or process can be move within that particular network segment. So those segmentation techniques will be very legacy techniques, where it doesn't give the security requirements in the modern world. So when you consider about firewall based segmentation, it is also a very cumbersome process where you need to identify different zones and different you need to configure different firewall policies, and these firewall will be sometimes will be a single point of failure, and it will impact latency and throughputs, and also it is very expensive to upgrade. And the identity base, when considering about identity based access, you need to sometimes connect third party techniques with these firewall based segmentation. So those are the different legacy systems that are used in organization. But the modern approach, when we consider about modern approach, will be host-based microsegmentation. As Udit explained, one of the key pillar in zero trust will be microsegmentation. So with microsegmentation, as you can see, it is host-based microsegmentation, where it will provide the security independent of network infrastructure, right? As you can see, we can provide individual firewall to each of these hosts, and these zero trust segmentation will impact impact the performance, as most of have a myth of that, and it does not involve any network redesign. So with this adaptation, organization could achieve many advantages in terms of security. So apart from that, we can maintain, especially nowadays customers tend to have hybrid environment where they maintain on-premise data center as well as public cloud data centers to maintain disaster recovery or active scenarios, likewise. So they by implementing this kind of microsegmentation policies, they can unify the policies across campus, private and public cloud, enabling seamless cloud migration with the zero trust security implementation. Shafni, I think I have explained how organization can adopt zero trust security platform with ColorToken, and what are the advantages that they can gain with this ColorToken product. And apart from that, the organization can adopt ColorToken without any infrastructure changes, regardless of what they have in their current environment. They can implement policies, as I explained in my previous slide. So it is just a matter of deploying an agent in your existing server, and you don't need to do any infrastructural changes. And regardless of these infrastructure, this organization can have the advantage of implementing zero trust with ColorToken.
ColorTokens X Shield, part of the award-winning extended Zero Trust platform, provides your enterprise with microsegmentation, consistent real-time visibility, and control of all workloads. X Shield Zero Trust zones allow you to enforce security policies with confidence, containing and blocking malicious communications to proactively secure workloads, containers, users, and applications. And the extended Zero Trust platform is built 100% in the cloud, providing a simple and scalable new generation security service that requires no hardware. X Shield, part of the extended Zero Trust platform. Zero trust, zero complexity, zero compromise.
What we saw was a little highlight of X Shield. Moving on to next question to Nilankar. During Udit's explanation, he was indicating about zero trust network access, microsegmentation, and zero trust edge. Can you explain the elements that addresses these areas within the ColorToken product? How ColorToken addresses this area?
Yes, Shafni. We have different products to match the zero trust concepts. To match the microsegmentation part, we have ColorToken X Shield. To match the zero trust edge component, we have ColorToken X Protect. To match the zero trust network access, we have ColorToken X Access. Now we will talk about each of these components one by one to explain how the organization can achieve zero trust concept by using and adapting these different products. First, we will look into X Shield, the zero trust microsegmentation. With ColorToken, as you can see, with X Shield you can have visualization and you can have policy simulation, and you can have finally the micro segmentation. Visibility is very important because nowadays, even though we have perimeter firewall, internal firewalls, and many other solution, we don't have a clear visibility where the misconfigurations happen and where the unknown processors are accessing file servers. Likewise, we don't have granular visibility into our on-premise or cloud infrastructure. Visibility, when talking about visibility, the average advanced persistent threat, which is known as APT, window is around 246 days. Making early detection and response to the core of the current security paradigms, unified visibility can also significantly reduce detection and response time while enabling security teams to implement policies that reduce unauthorized movement and access. So you can understand the visibility is very important, where we have to identify lateral movements and which is known as unauthorized movement and access. So if we can identify those, we can define policies against them and can get the corrective action. Now we will talk about ColorToken XProtect. XProtect is the Zero Trust Edge product where it will provide endpoint security. So as you can see in the slide, XProtect will provide layers of security. So with these layers of security, it will provide fully comprehensive endpoint security mechanism for Zero Trust Edge. Unlike traditional signature-based mechanism, ColorToken use trust scores to identify different threats. So it is a lightweight threat intelligent mechanism to identify different threats available in the endpoint as well as server environment. Also, Zero Trust dynamic whitelisting, especially whitelisting and blacklisting applications, which in turn give application control for endpoint, will provide application security. Also, rule rings provide kernel level control process rules to detect and stopping behavioral attacks. So that is a good advantage of attacks that are targeting on vulnerabilities of operating systems. And especially file protection and device protect will control different data leakages that happen through endpoints. Especially USB control stop use at selected level, and users cannot copy organizational data by simply plugging different USB personal devices. Also, not only these layers, it will provide a network behavioral rules which stop extraction of different information through network. So by providing these layers of security, XProtect will provide organization a fully functional endpoint security mechanism. With XProtect, you can see we can eliminate different processors accessing different services. Like suppose if the SQL server is not allowed to access the PowerShell, then we can identify that flow and block that particular application accessing that PowerShell service. Likewise, if the desktop want to access the PowerShell service, then we can identify that flow and allow that particular service to access the PowerShell service. Likewise, we can have different level of protection against different services to ensure that only legitimate services will access different applications. So unwanted processors like malware will not have the feasibility to access different level of directories within the secured environment, since we are using Xprotect in the environment. Especially in a legacy system like Windows 2003, some customers are also using Windows XP because some ERPs are not allowing them to move into new OS systems, since they have much cost incurred with ERP development. So some customers tend to run their old ERPs on Windows XP. In that kind of environment, we also have good protection through ColorToken Xprotect, where it will provide different layers of services, and we can also identify which application to access which services, and we can allow or deny according to the policies. Moving on, now we will talk about ColorToken X-axis. Before talking about ColorToken X-axis, how zero trust network access, we will talk about legacy VPN approach, how organizations are accessing, providing access to remote users, and what are the drawbacks of having legacy VPN. Most of the organization having perimeter firewall, and it will provide the particular client to establish the VPN connection to the organization, and it will provide the application access to different users that are coming from outside, because nowadays organizations tend to move their workforce work from home. Since the pandemic starts, most of the workforce are logging in from home, and they allow remote users to access internal application through VPN connections. So some of the drawbacks of legacy approaches, VPN vulnerabilities lead to cyber breaches, because those perimeter firewall vendor clients, if they got a vulnerability, then it will lead to a cyber breach. And also that legacy approach is not dynamic in nature. Suppose if there are different application access required for different set of groups, then the firewall administrators need to define policies, and there are complexities in defining access controls for different user groups that are coming from different remote locations, and the complexity is very high in terms of deploying perimeter level legacy VPN approach. And also DDoS and internal firewall, internal load balancers, with these additional components, the legacy VPN approach is very cumbersome to implement in terms of organization, because almost all users tend to have remote access with the current situation. So it is very hard to troubleshoot in terms of having a perimeter level firewall and implemented all VPN generation through perimeter level. With X-axis, you can see that we have software as a service, SaaS based deployment, where we already have application segmentation with X Shield, and with those we have the capability to segment different users. Like suppose if there are sales employees, then we can segregate those sales employees to only access sales application, because that is relevant to different micro segment within the data center, reside on premise or cloud. So it will also eliminate internet attack surface. Seamless multi-cloud access also will be provided through the X-axis portfolio, and it will eliminate VPN and DDoS attacks. and also it will provide application segmentation. So zero trust is rooted in principle of trust nothing, right? Verify everything. This security model requires strictly identity verification for each and every resource and device attempting to get access to any information on private network, regardless of where they are situated, within or outside of a network perimeter. So we have to ensure right users are accessing right application within the organization. So by having color token x-axis, we can define different policies, and it is also dynamic in nature since we are having control over the data center application itself, since we are having color token X shield component within the data center. Moving on to the X-Assure. This is X-Assure is a color token product where we can provide progressive zero trust security as a service. So by having all these X Shield, X Access, X Protect product, we can have X-Assure product to give security as a service, especially for SOC kind of security operating center kind of environment. We can have X-Assure to deliver zero trust as a service to different customers. So it will enhance zero trust adaptation, and manage microsegmentation and monitoring will be done through X-Assure as well. So this is the X-Assure reference architecture, where we have different components attached together and provide a single console where we can manage all the security implementation on-premise and cloud infrastructure. Also we can integrate LAN environments as well. So in my right hand corner you can see that X-Assure log collector, where it will integrate with other third-party devices through APIs, and it will correlate all the information with available color token products, and the microsegmentation and the endpoint security with X-Protect, and secure access through X-Access. It will correlate all these information and provide a comprehensive solution with threat analysis and incident investigation and threat hunting. Those collaborative platform will provide a good solution for some kind of environment where the organization who are looking to provide zero trust as a service will be gain the more advantage from X-Assure. So Shafni, I think I have explained the products that deliver zero trust edge, microsegmentation, zero trust network access through color token, how it will benefit organization through different level. I hope this color token product will address most of the organization requirement in terms of zero trust adaptation. So we will hope to serve you better in our coming webinars.